Bismillah. Now we're going to speak about the joining Hamza, which is known as Hamzatul Wasl. So, unlike the Hamzatul Qata', the Hamzatul Wasl can only be represented by the alif, along with the Hamza. Now the sign that scholars give of Hamzatul Wasl is this part of the word Wasl. So for example, let's just write it here. Now some points about Hamzatul Wasl. Hamzatul Wasl can only exist on an alif. So you can't have Hamzatul Wasl alone, without the alif, or with a waw, or with a ya. It's always the alif. And Hamzatul Wasl actually can sometimes be written just as an alif, without this sign. So it's assumed. And this is something that once you become accustomed to, you'll understand this is a Hamzatul Wasl. And sometimes they're also written with the harakah alone. For example, the dhamma, the fatha, or the kasra. Now, we have in front of Surah Fatiha. I'm just going to point out Hamzatul Wasl in it. There's a few of them. So, for example, here it says Al-Fatiha, and the first letter is actually Hamzatul Wasl. Bismillah. In Lafz al-Jalala, or the name Allah, it starts off with a Hamzatul Wasl. And the name Ar-Rahman starts off with Hamzatul Wasl. This is also Hamzatul Wasl. If you look at any section of the Quran, you'll find many Hamzatul Wasls. So for example, here as well, Al-Hamdu, Al. And here there's Ihdina. This is also Hamzatul Wasl. Notice it's always written on top. And this is part of the way that it's written. Although there's a kasra here. Because we say Ihdina. It's not Ahdina or Uhdina. And this is something that you'll understand as you learn Tajweed as well as Arabic. So for example, this can be represented as the way it is there, with the sign of Hamzatul Wasl there. Or it could be written all alone. Or it could be written with a kasra. Either way is perfectly fine. The Mus'haf puts the sign there. And it assumes you already know that it's a kasra. Now a few things about Hamzatul Wasl as opposed to Hamzatul Qata'. Firstly, it only occurs in the beginning of a word, and you won't find any Hamzatul Wasl that occurs at the end or in the middle of a word. Secondly, it occurs in some words. When I mean some words, I'm talking about without the definite article al. This definite article, alif here, is not actually a alif. It's a Hamzatul Wasl. So we'll just put the sign there. It doesn't have to be there, but just to, so you know. And that's to make a word definite. We'll speak about this definite article, the al, in another lesson, inshallah. But when I mean it occurs in some words without the definite article. Because when you put the definite article in any word, it will start off with Hamzatul Wasl. Now, some of the words that have Hamzatul Wasl, the common words, are, for example, ibn. So ibn means son, or ism. And the words, for example, imra'a, woman. Now the question is, why do they call it Hamzatul Wasl, the joining Hamza? Now for example, this sentence here, it says, Ja'a Muhammadun wabnuhu. Now, this is Hamzatul Wasl there. The word ibn, remember? Ibnuhu means his son. Now, when there's something before it, like here the waw, and regardless of what's before it, if we're actually reciting it, we don't pronounce this Hamza. We go straight to the ba. So it's wabnuhu. It's not wa ibnuhu, it's wabnuhu. It's like it joins the waw to the word ibn. And that's why they call it the joining Hamza. Now for example, if this word, ibnuhu, was in the front. Let's wipe this out. And say this is the sentence begins with ibnuhu. We say ibnuhu Muhammadun, for example. His son is Muhammad. Notice here it's in the beginning of the sentence. So we pronounce it. Ibnuhu Muhammadun. If say we put a waw there, wabnuhu Muhammadun. Finally, we have the greatest name, Allah. This word also starts off with a hamzat al-wasl. So for example, if we put the waw in front of it, and we say Wallahi. This waw here is actually known as waw al-qasm, the waw of swearing an oath. So when we put this waw, it's Wallahi, not Wa'allahi. So by Allah, I swear by Allah. Once again, for example, if Allah was the first word in the sentence, we would say Allah with the hamza being pronounced. وصلى سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم.